The title of this paper is Britain, Macaulayism, and the Reconstruction of Harvard University in the late 19th century. I will just read the introduction or abstract from this paper. It seems inevitable that the United States would have a special bond with what was once its mother country, Great Britain. However, the ties that continue to bind those two countries may not be traceable to that historic origin in ways that are commonly thought. In fact, within the young American nation, there was widespread resentment against the former imperial ruler. These were sentiments not only from 1776, but also from the War of 1812. The division between America and Britain was further exacerbated by the arrival of hundreds of thousands of Irish refugees. They had escaped from an intentionally imposed famine beginning in 1845. They also bitterly resented the British. Then, with the influx of a huge German immigrant population in mid-century, the differences between American and Britain became more formalized and institutionalized. The Germans, unlike the Irish, arrived well-financed, educated, and skilled, often with the unity of entire villages. They had an immediate impact on American commerce, education, and law. But all that fell into chaos with events of the American Civil War. Moreover, although the war was a catastrophe of human death and material destruction, what followed the hostilities was of equal impact, but in a different way. The former patterns of American governance, education, and law began to be displaced under a methodical program called the Reconstruction. Between the end of the war in 1865 and the end of the 19th century, the United States underwent a process of profound Anglicization in its public life. There are many ways to explain why the British devoted themselves to this project of transformation. But the potential value of bringing the Americans under British influence must have been obvious. Whatever the intent, the effect was to create an alliance of affection with what was potentially the greatest economic and military power in human history. In fact, the British had relevant and recent experience in cultivating advantageous relationships with potential world powers. It had done so in mid-century following a program of legal and educational reform set down by Thomas Babington Macaulay. His program created in colonial India a special judicial class who ruled over the Indian population while it looked to Britain for inspiration and guidance. The purpose of this paper is to explore how, during the Reconstruction, such a program of Macaulayism seems to have been carried out in the United States and specifically at Harvard University. It is to explore how that university became a center of Anglophilic values and how that influence formed an attachment to Britain among the American public that would eventually shape its law, its popular culture, its public affairs, and its place in the world.